And as somebody who's a part of like you're in the public sphere, in some ways. Like people are like, oh, Alanis. Like they'll have ideas about you.
Yes.
What do you think that people don't see about you that you kind of wish they did? Like there's this, and fame brings more, and we all have stories about ourselves, whether we're famous or not. But when you're famous, there's more of like, a lot of people have stories that then they put on.
Yes.
And I'm curious, how's that journey been like for you of defining who you are and knowing who you are regardless of what the story is the society
That's
is
being
telling
projected.
you? Yeah, and how do you dance with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unusual situation. Fame is not a normal construct that yields great
Indigenous villages
relationality.
probably didn't have famous people, I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah, so my naive, well-intentioned thought was that fame would afford the attachment hunger being met. If you think about what fame yields in a lot of ways, it's eyeballs, contact, people want to be near you. It has a little bit of a mimicking of attachment correction, except for it doesn't work. And it also exacerbates. So for me, fame is an exaggeration. So if there is unresolved trauma around certain areas, it will be inflamed.
Wow, okay.
So if there is fear or imposter syndrome or anything, it just expands and is exaggerated. So, and then the projection part was very painful for me because I thought there would be a kumbaya moment. All of us celebrities would be holding each other and petting each other, not sexually, by the fireplace.
Oh, no, you're enough.
Oh, I love you too. It wound up being, especially in the 90s, God bless us all.
Yeah.
It was completely the opposite.
Wow.
So there was a lot of sort of forced ennui, which I couldn't wrap my head around. Vulnerability has never been a bad word for me, and enthusiasm has been a big part of my identity. So the main messaging in the 90s was pretend you don't care, which kind of ran counter to how I operate. So it was a unique decade to have fame catapult to that degree. But the projection is real.
Yeah.
I think anyone in the public eye is sort of an activist by mistake because we're inviting people to define themselves in accordance to my viewpoint, to my song, to my hair. People are defining themselves. So in some ways, it's an unwitting generosity to keep showing up in the public eye. And then in terms of real intimacy, that became a unique challenge too. Like a lot of people don't even know they would have an agenda coming of, say, opportunism or exploitation. They themselves wouldn't even know it.
Right.
So it does pull out a wild amount of hypervigilance and discernment.
Yeah.
But I also know what intimacy really feels like, sharing self with a non-judgmental other.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like, so I keep that as my Star of Bethlehem.